Welcome to the Beyond the Years podcast, a podcast about all things Disney. Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the show. We have a very fun episode today. We will be talking about the 3 different trilogies of Spider-Man. So we're going to talk about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, we're going to talk about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and the MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So,
you know what I think is funny is that we've been doing this MCU rewatch.
Yeah.
If you guys listen to any of our other podcasts, I think we've talked about the MCU rewatch that we've been doing, where we're watching all of the MCU movies, but we have been stuck for so long on the Incredible Hulk movie because nobody wants to watch it. It just sucks. And so instead, we decided to rewatch all of the Spider-Man movies, which is so crazy because we hardly have any time. And we still managed to rewatch all of these movies. And we had a blast doing it.
Well, this hasn't been just like we've done this over the past few days. This has taken like...
Yeah, I know. But we've been doing the MCU rewatch for like months now. And we probably would be finished. But I really don't even I just want to skip over the Incredible Hulk and just move past it because I think we would have finished by now.
I don't know about that.
All of the other ones.
MCU stuff.
All of the other ones. I'm just talking about the movies.
Oh.
All of the other ones, I'm excited. And I can sit and watch any of the other ones. And we've watched like a lot of MCU movies outside of this rewatch.
I know.
Anyway, I just think that's funny. So if you had previously listened to any of our MCU rewatch podcasts,
The 2 that are out.
yeah, it's still a thing. We're still going to do it. It's just
Getting her to sit down and watch it.
Well, yeah. The Incredible Hulk's not my favorite. So anyway, in other news, before we get started on the topic, because I feel like today is going to be pretty chatty, we have 40 days until we leave for Disney World.
Boom.
Yes.
The countdown.
And the countdown's on.
This is where it gets real.
This is where the fun begins.
Because it's not really like, how much more money can we save before we get down there? So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so exciting. Anyway.
But, so, what do we want to talk about? Do we want to go through, like, it chronologically, like Sam Raimi?
Yeah, that's how we watched it, so I think we should do it that way. Or we could just kind of talk about it as a whole.
Let's do the 3. Let's like go over not go over them, but
kind of separate it 1, 2, and
yeah,
the first group, second group, third group, and then everything.
Yeah,
that's fine. So Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is a Spider-Man that I grew up with. We both grew up with.
Yeah,
and I remember because it had been a while since I had rewatched those, because obviously Tom Holland Spider-Man is current right now. That's what's in the MCU. So, but we grew up with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and at the time, it was funny rewatching it because at the time I always thought, "Oh, this is so cool."
Yeah,
he would do something. I'm like, "This is awesome," and rewatching it, it was kind of embarrassing. Like there were so many cringe moments. I still enjoyed it. Like it was still fun. I think Tobey Maguire was a good Spider-Man cast choice. And we obviously rewatched the newest Spider-Man movie with all 3 of them in it. So that was fun, but his movies were definitely cringe. And I strongly disliked Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Just like so whiny and annoying, and I'm like, why does he even like her at all?
Yeah.
That's not what I picture as Mary Jane. Mm-hmm. She should be like strong and independent and
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. She's Kirsten Dunst. Well, one, I don't like Kirsten Dunst at all.
I don't think it's the actress. I think it was the writing.
It's both.
Yeah, maybe.
Because maybe if it was an actor that we'd both like, oh yeah, I like her, and she played it, it'd be a different story. But I don't buy her as Mary Jane at all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have to be invested in the character and like how the actor portrays the character, and I'm just like, I don't. Kind of like Tobey Maguire. Like when I was a kid, I remember thinking, he's in high school. He looks like he's 30, and I just remember that always threw me off as a kid. That like he doesn't look like me.
Yeah.
He looks like he's one of my older cousins that are like way older, but he's still in high school kind of thing. I mean, obviously I wasn't in high school, but I knew what a high school kid looked like. And I'm like, he doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
He definitely looks younger, but he doesn't look like an 18-year-old. So that always threw me off when I was a kid. But, I mean, like you said, I still enjoyed the movies, as cringy as some of them are.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so if you're going to rank just those three, what would you rank them?
I like the second one the best of that first trilogy, because Dr. Octavius, he's, I think, both of our favorite. We just love him.
Yeah.
He, the actor did such a great job with that. The character is fun. So I would say that second one is my favorite. I didn't actually get to finish the third one because I went to bed or I went to take a shower.
You and Grayson finished it.
And then we went right into the next.
Oh.
So.
I guess.
I don't remember. Yeah.
I thought you ended up finishing it.
Nope.
But what about the first one? So what would you rank it? Or are you unsure?
I'm not really sure because I didn't finish the third one, but it's probably the first one and then the third one. Because I mean, I've seen the third one several times. It's just been a little while.
Yeah.
And I watched part of it.
Yeah. I think you watched like
half.
90% of the movie. You just missed like the final act. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you did because it was right when Eddie Brock got the Venom symbiote, pretty much. I would say mine would be the same, 2, 1, 3, because the second movie is so freaking good.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of like really cool Spider-Man stuff, like the subway scene where he stops the subway, and they catch him, and that's the one where he's trying to propose to Mary Jane. Is that the second one? No, that's the third one because he gets all emo in the third one.
Yeah, the whole Mary Jane thing, it just like throws me off because all of the other versions of Mary Jane or Gwen,
yeah,
like I really like them, so I understand his obsession with her, but I just couldn't comprehend like the whole relationship made no sense.
Yeah,
like it was just a very like he was super, they were never on the same page at the same time. Like he was super into her, and then right when she was like all about it, he was like, no, I can't do this. And then we just kept going through this weird cycle, and it just did not make any sense.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. And I didn't understand why like she was special, because I just thought she was annoying.
Yeah.
That sounds so mean. Yeah.
No, I understand. I honestly thought that Gwen.
Yes, when he kissed, that was the second movie, right?
That's the third movie.
Was it okay? Dang it! When he kissed Gwen.
Yeah.
That's Dallas.
Bryce
Dallas Howard. I always forget her first name. Yeah, and even just the little bit that she was in there, I was like, this is great. Yeah. He should get with her. Yeah. Because she's cute and she's not annoying. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's just like.
No, I love her character in the movie.
And I thought they had better chemistry.
See, that's the thing. What I was like telling you about, like the actor, you have to like enjoy the actor to enjoy the character more. And I love Bryce Dallas Howard. I think like all the stuff that she does is great in.
Yeah.
So I was even more appreciative when I was like, oh, I forgot she was in the third movie.
Yeah.
And I did think it's funny whenever they kiss. It's the upside down kiss, so it's obviously, and Mary Jane's like, that was our kiss.
Yeah.
And it's like, you didn't even know that was Peter at the time. So you can't say it's our kiss. I don't know.
Yeah, Mary. There's just so many things that I didn't like about her. Because it was like she was kind of she was kind of into Peter, but like she kissed Spider-Man. She didn't know it was Peter.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
And she had a crush on Spider-Man. And
are you really into Peter or what's happening?
Yeah.
So I didn't like that. How it was like, I'm going to make Peter think that I'm into Peter, but I'm really into Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure what I want.
So
she's a mess. I couldn't stand that.
I think they kind of make a jab at that in the second Far From Home, whenever they're on the bridge and she's like, when Peter goes, did you like me, or were you following me because you thought I was Spider-Man, or did you follow me because you liked me? And it was one of those things.
Yeah.
And she's like,
she like lied to him.
Yeah. She's like, because I thought you were Spider-Man. And it's just like, oh, that's not true, but you know.
Well, she admitted to it later.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess let's talk about some things that we liked about it, because they're enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like I had a good time watching them. I think the casting, aside from Mary Jane,
yeah,
was pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked
and
Harry.
All three? Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Harry.
Yeah.
I liked Norman. He was great, and obviously we got him again in No Way Home.
Yeah.
I thought he's just got that really kind of creepy. He just plays like Two-Face really well.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's what I enjoy about Defoe.
Yeah, and then obviously Dr. Octavius. He's my favorite. I loved him. And I loved him in No Way Home. Like, it probably better than I did even in the second movie.
Yeah.
Because he's just so cool.
Yeah.
I don't really have a ton to say about these. It was James Jonas Jameson.
J. Jonah Jameson?
J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know everyone's names.
No, you're fine.
Love him. Perfect casting. Obviously, we got him again. Like,
No Way Home.
in No Way Home. He was super fun.
Every time like he's on screen, I'm just like, God, I love his character so much.
Yeah.
Because he pulls it off so well.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. I think they're good. I think they're just a little cringe looking back on it.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily like, I think,
I don't dislike it, but I don't love it kind of thing.
So I'm going to say now, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is my favorite.
Okay.
And we'll talk about it in a little bit. But I feel like I agree and I understand the choices that he makes. And I'm like more emotionally connected than I was with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and the MCU Spider-Man. So I feel like Tobey Maguire, right?
Tobey Maguire, yeah.
I feel like he made a lot of decisions that I didn't like resonate with. And I didn't understand like why he was making these choices. And I don't know, it just made it kind of annoying to deal with and to watch.
Yeah.
Like going to Mary Jane's show. Well, something happened and he ended up being late. And it's like, if you want both things, like you just have to separate it.
Yeah.
And if you want to be with her and you want to be Spider-Man, you can do that, but you just have to like separate it. And so he couldn't make it there on time. And I'm just like, dude, get it together. Just like, you're a mess.
Yeah.
If it's important to you, then make it happen. So
that also happens in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
But I am so much more emotionally connected with him.
Okay.
Than Tobey Maguire.
No, I agree. I am too.
Because Tobey Maguire is a hot mess Spider-Man. Like, he was just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Changed his mind every 5 seconds, back and forth. And also, like, I thought she was super annoying. So, like, I didn't even understand at all why he wanted to be with her because she was annoying.
No, I get it. Yeah, I'm with you on, like, I really enjoy the cast. I like James Franco. I like my gosh, I can't even think of the guy that plays J. Jonah Jameson because we were just talking about him last night. But I love J.K. Simmons. I love J.K. Simmons as him. And I think they do like a really good job of. That's a very close like adaptation of like what you read in the comic books to the movie.
Right.
They do like a really good job in that and like different characters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like the other Spider-Man better.
Yeah, I will say, Green Goblin.
Oh yeah,
He was great.
yeah. No, the villains are good.
Yeah, the villains are good.
Well, the villains in the first two movies are good, and then the villains in the third one, I don't mind Sandman.
Yeah, that was kind of like a.
But
see, the third one I think is just not memorable.
There's just a lot going on. There's
Yeah.
too much. It's like what happened in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is that they had too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like their first one was really good. And then the second one, they're like, what can we throw at this movie to make this universe grow? And they just like pretty much took a bunch of darts and threw them at the board and we're like, let's do that, and that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what happened in the third one.
Yeah. I do like that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man can actually make his own web fluid. I think that's funny. And that's
in your body.
Yeah. I feel like I kind of believe that he was like this nerdy kid. I mean, I agree with you. He was kind of too old to play the part, but I could believe like the nerdy aspect about him.
Yeah. Especially in the first one.
Yeah.
Because he, like when he wakes up in the morning and after the spider bite and he like looks at himself in the mirror and he like flexes. He's like definitely like, you could tell like he's nerdy acting because he's like, muscles.
Yeah.
Okay. Before like we like jump into the next one, I want to talk about like, because the first two movies we get like the Uncle Ben factor.
Oh, yeah.
So which of the two Uncle Bens do you like better? Because I feel like each one has their like different. Resonates differently a little bit. I don't know.
I like the original, not the original. I'm just referring to it as the original because it's what I kind of think of as the original. But the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, Uncle Ben, I like him the best.
You like him the best?
Yeah, just because I feel bad for him the most.
Really?
Yeah, because he's so like
old.
Oh, yeah. It's so mean to say. He's old and kind of fragile, and I really felt bad for him when Peter was in the car, like kind of yelling at him, like
Cliff Robertson is the actor's name.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah, Aunt May. That's another thing that always throws me off is she looks so old in those movies. But she is old. But I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
How old she is.
I liked her.
I mean, I like her, but I just like, oh. Like, I guess when you look at the comics, she's really old too. She's got like really gray hair.
Yeah.
But to me, it would be like the Amazing Spider-Man, like that Aunt May, and then the Tom Holland Spider-Man. Makes, I don't know, it just resonates better with me because I see her more of as I can't talk. I see her as an aunt more than like a grandma.
Right.
with Sam Raimi's, Aunt May, it reminded me of a grandma. And I can't. That's another thing. It's just like, as a kid, I thought that's not his aunt, that's his grandma, because she's so much older.
Yeah.
Because then that, that would make Peter's dad. Or like the gap between like Uncle Ben and Peter's dad, like just way different. I don't know. As a kid though, I'm like, that's his grandma, not his aunt.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything else to say, really, other than I do enjoy those three movies.
Yeah,
But the second Spider-Man is really good.
It was really those were good to watch because they're fun, and I think we laughed a lot watching the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, just because they're so like embarrassing at times and cringy. Like, I remember laughing out loud so many times, and that definitely kept the mood kind of lighthearted.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The second Spider-Man is really good with Otto Octavius, and just that whole story. Obviously, that's when he gets like the web block because he can't shoot his webs, and he like loses his spider sense, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be Spider-Man anymore." I do like that, and the existential crisis that he has, and the subway scene is so good when they're like, "Oh, that's just a kid," and they give him back the mask and everything, and they're like, "We won't tell anyone." And that's really like, that kind of gets you a little bit, because it's like, "Oh, that's so cool." Okay, well, that's our thoughts on that one at least. What about? Oh, one more thing I want to say is that even though it's very cringy at times, this is like what sets up the other Spider-Man to be so good. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You have to have that like groundwork.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think they're bad. I'd rewatch them again for sure. But they're just not my favorite.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking up. I was trying to pull up the cast for the next Spider-Man so I could see what the actors' names were. So I'm not like, bleh.
Okay, so the Amazing Spider-Man.
Andrew Garfield. Emma Stone. Stan Lee. Oh, do we remember do you remember the cameos in the first three Spider-Man?
The Stan Lee ones?
Yeah.
Vaguely. Because it's been a couple weeks now since we watched them.
Yeah. I can't really remember, but either way, like, you got to mention the Stan Lee cameos, because they're still, every time I see them, it like warms my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let you lead, since you're going to be more like the Amazing Spider-Man girl.
Well, I really connected more with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, just because I felt, I don't know, maybe he's more connected to the role some way, because I could really feel his emotion and his struggle. Like, that really came through. And also Emma Stone, I loved her as Gwen. She was so great. And I just love the cast in these, and I just felt like Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield had like a really great chemistry, and they worked really well together. And I feel like I would have made a lot of the same choices that he did in the movies, and I just felt like he was more genuine.
Yeah, I get that. He's not as nerdy, you know? He's a little bit more of like just kind of the weirdo kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just like the weird kid, but everyone like acknowledges him.
Yeah. I just felt like his intentions were pure, and like I really felt the conflict in him was like a lot more sincere. So, I mean, there's not a lot to say. It sucked. I wish there's some things I wish they did differently with these movies, like not killing Gwen.
Yeah.
That was like, that really sucked.
Yeah.
Really sucked. Because I wish they made a third movie.
Yeah.
And
no, I agree.
Just continued on. Were these not well received? I don't really remember.
The first one was a very like well received movie, and then the second one is when they didn't go belly up, but was not well received at all. Because there was too many plot issues. The villain was weird. Electro.
Yeah. I liked the second one.
Yeah.
I agree that there was too much going on. And it was kind of weird pacing. But I think the foundation is there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Andrew Garfield like really pulls it together.
Oh yeah, he definitely finds his like footing in the second one a lot better.
Yeah.
But I like the first one better than the second one though, in my personal opinion. I don't know. I just enjoy the first one a lot more because it's, you know, he finds out like, oh, I'm like, he's more than just a kid that got bit by a spider. I mean, even Tobey Maguire is kind of finds that kind of in. Man, I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now, but I enjoy his progression through as him becoming Spider-Man.
Yeah.
A little bit better than Tobey's.
And I feel like he enjoys being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And Tobey Maguire was like, he didn't.
Very conflicted.
Yeah, he was very conflicted about it. And I guess I just didn't resonate with that.
Okay.
I don't know what else to say about these because he's my favorite. I think his chemistry with Gwen was the best. Yeah, the best.
Mm-hmm.
Out of, because like even Tom Holland and Zendaya,
Yeah.
their chemistry, and I know they're like a couple in real life. I don't know, they still are or not.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
I think they are.
I still feel like their chemistry is not even as good as the other two.
Gwen and Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I see that because maybe it's just because Emma Stone is such a good actress.
Yeah.
She really like pulls. I'm not saying Zendaya is bad, but I could understand that. I think they just clicked a lot more. I don't know why, but I understand. They're both fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else I can say that will have like any value to this. The villain, like I like the villains.
In the second, or in both of them.
Yeah, I mean it's not like it was.
I really loved the lizard.
The lizard was fine. Yeah.
And something that I noticed, and the only reason I noticed is because I had heard Armin talk about it in one of the videos that he posted online. Was he was talking about like the different Spider-Man, and he's like, go back and watch The Amazing Spider-Man and see how more like arachnid he is, where he like crawls a lot more.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, watch when he webs him up, like how much more of a spider he looks like, because he like crawls around him and webs him up at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is just you hadn't seen that before, so it was like more interesting.
Yeah, I felt like I feel like he was the most fluid, like with his abilities as Spider-Man.
Yeah. Another scene I also love in the first Amazing Spider-Man is when he's in the sewer and he sets up the
cameras.
Yeah, the camera and like the different webs down the sewerways, and you hear like that boing whenever the lizard starts to chase him down. Mm-hmm. That's really fun because it's like, oh, it shows more of like, I don't know, more comic accurate, but just more other than just him web swinging through the city.
Yeah. I wish we would have gotten, like, I like Electro. Mm-hmm. I thought that was fun, and it showed a little bit more of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, like empathy and like that genuine character. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been super fun to get a more traditional, well-known Spider-Man villain like Dr. Octavius or something like that. Yeah. That would have been super fun.
I get it. I like Jamie Foxx, but at the same time, it's just his character is really weird in the movie, and it doesn't really follow like the comic book nature of it. It's just Sony's own version, kind of. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you got in a vat of electric eels. Like, it makes
No sense.
no sense.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that.
I feel like these movies had the most potential. It's not necessarily that they are written the best,
Mm-hmm.
and that I think they, I don't know how, it's hard to say, because as far as like if I was breaking down like
Movie
all
by
of
movie.
if I was breaking it down to be very critical, like they wouldn't be the best. But I think they have the most potential, and I think that
The enjoyment factor.
well, I think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is the Spider-Man that I like the best.
Mm-hmm.
I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I feel like if he had the chance to continue, and if he had like the MCU people writing the movies,
Mm-hmm.
they would have been hands down the best.
See, I think and honestly, I think if The Amazing Spider-Man did better in the second movie, that we would have had Andrew Garfield in the MCU. Because I think that's what they had tried to do.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to get... Because the first movie was... You don't see, like, you know, you're in New York, but you don't see, like, any Avengers things. But you could have definitely tied that in to be an Avenger thing. But they just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fine. But that's from what I had like heard before, that they really tried, the MCU like team tried to get Andrew Garfield on as, or introduce into it.
Yeah. And I don't know that I would, now that we have Tom Holland, it's kind of one of those things. I don't know. Now that we have Tom Holland,
Mm-hmm.
I love Tom Holland. I love his Spider-Man. I wouldn't change that now,
Yeah.
but I did really enjoy Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Yeah. We might see him in the Venom 3 movie. Because he's potentially rumored to be back in playing Spider-Man.
Ooh.
So.
Well, with No Way Home, we opened up the multiverse
Yeah.
for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So
I think,
endless opportunities.
I think people now, though, have more of, like, because of that movie and just because of everything else Spider-Man related that's like multiverse, and just
Mm-hmm.
people understand, like, oh, you know, the Spider-Man movies are all different, they're not the same, and the X-Men movies are all different, but they're not the same. Like,
Yeah, I mean, two things can be true. You can like, I'm trying to think of another example, but I can't right now. I guess like the Incredible Hulk, right? Edward Norton, probably at the time seeing that movie for the first time, I probably really liked it.
mm-hmm.
And he probably would have been fine as the Hulk. But now we have Mark Ruffalo. And I love Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk.
Yeah.
That's what I know. And I feel like he fits really well.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that Edward Norton couldn't have done a good job. I don't know. That's kind of a bad example because I don't really like the Incredible Hulk. But I was trying to think of a movie that like they changed cast, like Rhodey. Rhodey and Iron Man. I think either of them would have done a really great job. But now the Rhodey we have is the Rhodey we've been with for a while, and we like him. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think two things can always be true at the same time.
No, I understand.
So you want to talk about Tom Holland Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite Spider-Man.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, I just really enjoy him a lot. I think it's a lot of it too is the directors. I feel like oh my gosh, I can't even think of his name. The director for Tom Holland's movies, I'm blanking, but because I keep thinking of Mark Webb, but Mark Webb was the one that did the Amazing Spider-Man movies. But anyway, John Watts, that's his name. I think John Watts did a good job of like showing you like original Peter Parker in high school where it feels more like even Andrew Garfield, he felt more high school, but at the same time, you didn't see him in high school a lot.
Yeah.
The Homecoming, like he's in high school, like the whole movie.
Yeah.
And it's like they're in and out of school the whole time.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy that because it's like, oh, it's showing him like, you know, he wants to be a superhero so bad, but he's got to be at school. And, you know, we're coming out of Civil War. So he has the Stark suit and he's got all this stuff. And he's like texting Happy Hogan like, hey, you know, if you guys need anything, just let me know. I'm going to do Spider-Man stuff around here, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, obviously when we got him in Civil War, that introduced him to the MCU, and that was amazing. When Tony goes to find him. I don't know if you remember that scene at all, but like whenever he shows up, it's like, oh my God, it's Spider-Man. So it's super cool.
Yeah.
But I just think he embodies, like when I read the comics, when I read a Spider-Man comic, I can hear Tom Holland's voice like over the other Spider-Man. Kind of like when I read Thor, I hear Chris Hemsworth talk.
Yeah.
Or like Tony Stark, I hear Robert Downey Jr. talking. I hear Tom Holland talk as Spider-Man because I feel like, to me, it clicks better. He's quippy. He's a kid. But it's just a lot different compared to the other two because when they went a completely different route.
Yeah.
But I love... Oh, I guess before we get into that, I would say my favorite is Amazing Spider-Man and then Amazing Spider-Man 2. Because I was going to like, oh crap, I forgot to rank the two. So it just goes 1 and 2. As 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Because his MCU trilogy is probably the best MCU trilogy that we get out of all the trilogies. Don't you think?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, what do you think? Iron Man?
Wow. We're just not on the same page as far as like our thoughts on Spider-Man because I really love Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
But like if I'm going to choose what I'd rather watch before that, definitely Iron Man, definitely Thor. Doctor Strange doesn't have 3 movies yet, but either of his movies. I'm trying to think.
I'm saying not watched. I'm just saying overall quality. I feel like if you're looking at this from a critical aspect, more of a critique eye, the Spider-Man movies, it would probably be the best trilogy of MCU movies. Maybe right next to Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy.
I still don't know. Because
Okay.
I think it's hard to just look at it from a critical perspective because I'm also like first and foremost a viewer and it has to be enjoyable. And one thing that I kept noticing, and I know, well, I don't know, but this is something that Spider-Man is kind of a trend with Spider-Man is that he kind of creates his own disasters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he is responsible a lot of the times for creating the monster or like he creates these situations that would have not even been a thing if it wasn't for him.
Mm-hmm.
But that was really apparent in the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. And I'm just like, dude, like if you didn't do this, like none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's frustrating. It's frustrating, and we have that with the other Spider-Man movies, but it's really apparent with the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, like the boat and
Well,
Homecoming.
yeah.
Just
like stay out of it, because Tony Stark had it all taken care of.
Yeah.
Like it, and that's exactly it. If he had just stayed out of it, Tony Stark had the FBI. They were going to make the arrest.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would have died. The boat wouldn't have been cut in half. It would have just been fine because Tony Stark had it taken care of. And I'm just like, this kid has created a disaster and it's his own fault. And especially with No Way Home, because especially watching it, we just rewatched it.
Mm-hmm.
We just finished it
Last night.
Well, in the theater, you don't make these connections because you're just like in awe of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, watching it again yesterday, knowing what happens at the end, that he is going to have to make it to where nobody remembers him. Well, this whole thing could have been avoided.
Oh.
He goes to Doctor Strange and wants to fix it when he could have just talked to the school to see if they could get in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, instead of just dealing with it, he tries to get a way out, and then he ruins everything.
Yeah, but
and the movie is good. The movie's really good, and it's really entertaining, and I really enjoy watching it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, May dies. That's a huge loss, and then everyone has to forget who he is. None of that would have happened.
Yeah. No, I understand.
It's just like he keeps creating his own disasters.
Well, and I think that's why I enjoy these movies the most, because he's trying to prove himself. You know what I mean? Like, and in Homecoming, he's like, I'm going to show them, like, I'm more than just the, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm going to take down these big guys and prove to the world that, like, hey, Tony Stark, like, I can be an Avenger kind of thing. And then the second one, we kind of get the same situation, where he has all this responsibility dropped onto him, and he's like, well, Tony Stark gave me a choice, because it says, like, hey, these glasses are yours, like, do with whatever you want with them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that means that I need to, appoint the next successor, the next Tony Stark. So he gives the glasses to Quentin Beck.
Yeah.
And same thing in No Way Home. Like, obviously he goes to Doctor Strange and they cast a spell, and this all could have been avoided, but at the same time, it's just like a very Peter Parker thing to do, like even in the comics.
Yeah, and maybe that's why I miss it, is because, or maybe I don't feel like that connection with that specifically because I don't read the comics like you do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely frustrating coming from a person who's not like into the comics as much. I don't know.
No,
Just as a normal movie viewer, it's frustrating.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I think that's why I love No Way Home. I think No Way Home is probably my favorite Spider-Man movie out of all the movies. If we're ranking, which we'll do at the end.
It's really good, yeah. It's really good.
But you get this whole, and I think that's what they did a really good job with the MCU movies, is that they made the first 3 movies like his introduction to be Spider-Man. And then the last like minute scene that we get where he's sewing his own suit and he's about to like go out into the world, no one knows him.
Yeah.
Like, that's the Spider-Man that you want, because like no one knows him, and like, I mean, some people know him in the comics, but like that's like, oh yeah, that makes total sense now. I'm
really excited to see where he goes, and
yeah.
I it's based on what I've said, it sounds like I hate these movies. That's not true. I love these movies. Yeah. It's just like really obvious, like he created his own mess in every single one, and it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
But
he ends up, at the end of the day, he takes care of it.
He does, and he gets the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
Tom Holland Spider-Man gets the shit kicked out of him. Crazy. I mean,
I see a lot of people saying like, "Oh man, he's like not as strong as the other Spider-Man." I'm like,
kidding? Like he gets beat up so bad. Like he's always bloody and broken, and like there's so many scenes where something happens and you're like, "Oh my God." Like, ow.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Perfect example is when he's fighting the Vulture on the beach, and Vulture just like keeps picking him up and like slamming him on the ground.
I mean, he gets the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
A lot. So, I mean, I would definitely give him that.
I've seen so many people too also talk about like the web swinging. Like, oh, he doesn't web swing very good. I'm like, go back and watch all 3 of these movies, and they do so much more unique web swinging stuff. Like, you never see him swing through like a suburban neighborhood like he does in Homecoming. When he's running through the backyards and he like lands in the pool and then lands in the house and like he sees the little girls at the tent and he's got all the crap around him and he's like, "Oh, hey guys, how's it going?" And they like freak out. Like you never get that in any of the other movies because you're always in the city. But it's just really unique that they give him different situations. Like they're in Europe in the second movie, so you just see him doing a lot more different like web swingy things, and it's just more enjoyable to me because I'm like, oh, this makes more sense. Like Far From Home is really good because he finds it's kind of the same thing as the second movie from like Sam Raimi. He kind of has a web block, if you want to call it that, where he has an existential crisis and he can't like find his Peter Tingle. And at the end of the movie, you know, he beats Mysterio and he like finds it.
Yeah.
Which is I don't know. I love
that whole scene was crazy.
Oh yeah.
The scene where he ends up defeating Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the first. I feel like that was the first moment with him where I was like, yeah, he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like this is cool.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's I don't know.
I feel it. I feel that in the first movie, at the end when he's fighting Vulture.
Yeah.
Because he's like trying to stop him and save him at the same time because he doesn't want Vulture to die.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm trying to save you. And he's like, you don't understand what you're messing with. And it blows up and he ends up saving him. It's just it's like the same thing as like he creates his own worst enemies, but at the same time, like he does the right thing at the end. And I love that.
Yeah.
I just enjoy that with his character more, I guess. Because you see him screw up, him fix the situation. Where I don't feel like the other two, they don't really show them like screwing up. You know what I mean? As much as they do with Tom Holland.
Yeah, that's true.
But okay, so let's rank. So obviously, like we've gone through all the movies.
3, 2, 1 for me on the Tom Holland.
3, 2, 1.
Mm-hmm. Because the one with Mysterio is actually really good.
Yeah. Homecoming
is good, but it's kind of slower.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, the first one's kind of supposed to be.
See, I'm definitely 3 is my favorite. And then... Oh,
you love the Vulture character.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Michael Keaton as Vulture is just really, really good. So I would say like 1, 2, but like those would be a very fluid like 1, 2.
Yeah.
Or, 2 and 3, I should say. So now let's rank all of the Spider-Man movies together.
Okay.
So I have mine.
We didn't even talk about the third one yet.
No Way Home?
Not enough.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
We can rank them and then talk about it if you want. But I feel like there's so much more to say.
Oh, okay. Then let's continue to say.
Well, because we didn't even talk about we didn't talk about it hardly at all.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess because we had mentioned it in the other.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about No Way Home.
So once I kind of get over the whole he creates his own disasters thing, it's an amazing film.
Yeah.
And I think seeing this the first time, very few things can be equal to that. Like getting to see previous cast come into this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like seeing Dr. Octavius for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and I were both like jaws on the floor, just excited. Mm-hmm. So I think once we kind of get over, like he creates this whole problem and we kind of get into the movie, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. So also I was going to say Doctor Strange in this movie, I love so much. He's like one of my favorite. Well, he's like one of my favorite characters in comic books. But
I love Doctor Strange as well. But the first time we watched this, I was kind of frustrated with him
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, he's a grown up. Like, what is he even doing? Like, this kid comes to you and is like, hey, can we forget, you know, can these people forget that I'm Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah,
No. He didn't ask enough questions.
Yeah. No, I get that. But just him in general, like he's
Oh, yeah, I love
Cumberbatch is so good at
Oh, yeah.
like being quippy when he needs to be quippy, and just all his scenes he's in. I'm just like, yep, I'm 100% like invested in this. Like especially when he's talking about there was another guy on the bridge. He was in this green elf-looking suit,
yeah,
and he goes, "Well, he sounds jolly." So
yeah, I loved how they did that.
yeah.
I thought it was super fun, him getting to kind of catch all of these villains from different universes, multiverses, whatever. That was fun. I loved Ned and MJ in this. Ned is hilarious. I think they all have really great chemistry together.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that Ned has like the magic.
Yeah.
That was so fun.
Yeah. I love that it's the whole time, because in the beginning of the movie, it's coming off of the heels of Far From Home, where, you know, MJ finds out like, oh yeah, and then Ned finds out that MJ knows, and Ned kind of has it like, you know, I was the first one that knew about it. And so like they play off of that in No Way Home when he's getting interrogated.
Yeah.
And it cracks me up like, oh, yeah, I was Spider-Man's guy in the chair. And he's like, oh yeah, the whole office are my guys in a chair. And he's like, how much longer did you know he was Spider-Man? And he's like, oh, I was the first to know. He's like, oh, so you were his number one accomplice. And he's just like, I want to talk to a lawyer.
And I want everything stricken from the record.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Yeah, I love Ned. He's hilarious. I think he's the most enjoyable, like, best friend that we have.
Yeah. I was gonna say I love him in Homecoming, whenever he's like, Peter knows Spider-Man, when they're in the gym, and it's just like, damn it, Ned.
Yeah.
And he's asking him all these questions like, can you lay eggs, spider eggs? Do you shoot venom? It's just so funny.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
No Way Home, his friends. I don't know what you're gonna say. I was trying to get you back on the path.
I know.
okay.
MJ and Ned. I love that scene with Andrew Garfield, the first one where he portals
Oh yeah.
in, and you get to see Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah.
And I love the chemistry, not like the romantic chemistry, but just like the general chemistry the actors all had together in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just Andrew Garfield in general. Like, he just naturally has great chemistry with people.
Yeah.
But I thought that scene was really funny where MJ was like throwing the bread at him, and she's like, I don't trust that you're Spider-Man, even though he was like dangling from the ceiling.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super funny. Just getting to see these previous versions that we've gotten was super fun.
My Lola says, while you're up there, can you get the cobweb in the corner?
Yeah.
What about when Tobey Maguire walked through his portal? Did you get excited?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I did too. It just...
And I actually liked Tobey Maguire Spider-Man
in
this better than his own movies.
No, I agree.
Because he didn't have MJ. Being annoying.
No, I just think I like him better as like the older Spider-Man.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely kind of come into his own.
Yeah.
And I loved how he was trying to be more of like a support system for Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, because Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is obviously like seriously traumatized from what happened with Gwen.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Well, I think he's a good support for both.
Oh, I mean, yes, but that one scene specifically where Andrew Garfield was like basically saying like he's not as cool as everybody else.
Oh,
and then he's like, what is with this negative self-talk we've got going on?
Yeah. And it's funny. He's like, "You're amazing," and like that's Andrew Garfield is technically the amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah. I thought all of them had really great chemistry together. I keep talking about chemistry, but that's important when you're an actor.
Yeah.
I think all three of the Spider-Men, once they kind of got to know each other a little bit, I thought they worked really well together.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was a fun dynamic.
Yeah, I feel like No Way Home is like the perfect crescendo.
Yeah.
Into like a end of the trilogy, end of the Spider-Man like whole thing. It's just so good.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely things I wish were different. Like I really didn't want May to die, obviously.
Yeah.
That really sucks.
Yeah.
But to see Peter like lose it on Green Goblin was kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. At the end.
Yeah, where he was like not pulling his punches.
Yeah.
Beating the crap out of him.
Mm-hmm.
That whole scene was just crazy.
Yeah. I was gonna say I love Octavius when he's making his fix for him in the apartment.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Get your homemade science project off of me!" And like he obviously he passes out or dies or whatever for a moment, and everyone's like, "What is happening?" And Peter's like, "Dr. Octavius," and he like comes to. And then you get the Green Goblin scene where like the Goblin shows himself, and Peter's like spider sense is like going off like haywire.
Yeah.
But he can't like
Yeah.
pinpoint where and who it is.
Yeah.
Until he like realizes it. And then Defoe's like,
yeah,
"Oh, that sense of yours is awfully good."
Yeah.
And Peter's like, "It's the Goblin." And Octavius is like, "Norman?" And he's like, "Norman's on sabbatical, honey."
I know.
I love that so much.
Good. So good. Yeah, no, the casting, he plays a perfect Green Goblin. So good.
Yeah, it's so creepy. his face, how he does like his facial expressions.
Oh yeah.
Like when he just like sits there and smiles, and like when he throws the pumpkin bomb at May, and he like has that weird like sinister like smile, and he like throws it like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
And he's Norman's on sabbatical, honey. It just cracks.
Yeah.
You laughed really hard last night when he said that. But yeah, I also love how even the other cast, like the other villains, don't have like moments to shine, but like they all have their part in the movie.
Yeah.
It's not like they just kind of all get like crapped on.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I think the only one that may have would be Lizard.
Yeah.
But other than that, like you get a lot of interesting like Sandman moments. Electro you get a lot of, which is super fun because it's actually Jamie Foxx and not this. And they kind of make fun of him at first. They're like, whenever they see him in that electrical yard, they're like, "I don't know, he's just a blue glowing guy." And then it's like, oh, he comes to, and it's actually him, but he doesn't have weird hair or anything like that. Like he's not just a blue glowing blob. He's just an actual guy, which is funny. And also the Lizard makes fun of that. He's like, "Did you get a haircut?"
Yeah. A makeover.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so funny.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't have a lot else to say about it. I just wanted to make sure we talked about it.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see where we go next with Spider-Man. Because there's going to be like a lot of rebuilding that has to happen.
That, and there'll be a long gap between the Spider-Man movie. Especially with this. Tom Holland wants to take like a year off of acting after this most recent TV show that he did, because it was emotionally like straining on him, and just being Spider-Man, there's a lot of emotional, like there's a heavy toll to play Spider-Man. And I guess he had like a substance abuse problem. Tom Holland did, like drinking really bad. He was an alcoholic.
Really?
or maybe not. Yeah, I guess he would have said alcoholic.
I mean, I've heard him in interviews talking about how he hasn't been drinking.
Well, yeah, but he there for a while he was really bad at drinking
Wow.
and potentially stepping away from the role of Spider-Man, which that would suck if he did, because I really enjoy his Spider-Man, and then like all the Spider-Man that we've got of him. That's really fun.
Yeah.
And it would really suck because it would leave where No Way Home left. I mean, I guess it would partly be a good way to end his movies. At the same time, I wouldn't want his movies to end there because I feel like it was the perfect 3 movies to like say like, okay, here's Spider-Man now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he should do at least 3 more movies and then hand off the torch to like another Spider-Man or like a Miles, or by that time we'll have a reboot and then we'll just get another Peter Parker or something, like a different universe.
Interesting.
But yeah. Anyway,
I mean, I think acting is, now that I'm an adult with a job and like responsibilities, I could understand now like how hard acting actually is on a person, because they are like fully immersing themselves in this role, and the hours that they're working and what they put into it is so much. So hopefully he's able to recover, and I can't imagine. So
if he stays a Spider-Man, great. If he moves on to Spider-Man, like I'm gonna enjoy the movies that we got him in. And
yeah, I mean, that sucks, because part of it is like you make a commitment, and like I could understand wanting to take a break, but at the same time, when he accepted the role, like he committed to being Spider-Man, so he really needs to work out the MCU's vision for Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like that's my opinion. Like hopefully he's able to work out his personal stuff. That's important. He takes some time off, whatever you need to do. But when you make a commitment like that, that's just me as a person. Like when you make a commitment, like you've committed. So you need to finish what you've started. And he needs to at least give them. I don't think that he's gonna quit.
But I don't think he will either, because, well, and this is gonna sound like really bad, but the other movies he's been in haven't done well.
Yeah.
And like his solo movies, and Spider-Man's like, you don't want to get typecasted as like, hey, it's the Spider-Man guy. But he's kind of that guy now, and he makes a lot of money off these movies.
Yeah, so why would you not?
Yeah, so I was going to say money talks, and I don't know, maybe after some time off and he'll come back to the role. Like,
well, I mean, can you imagine taking a year off of work and having money?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's like life changing. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully, as a person, I want him to figure everything out. But like also as a person who has responsibilities, he committed to this. So
yeah,
he needs to follow through. Her dog is like wandering into the room with his man bun.
So let's go ahead and like wrap this up.
Okay.
Okay. First off, like you love the Amazing Spider-Man. You love
Andrew
Garfield.
So it's less about the movie and more about Andrew Garfield.
Okay.
I like Andrew Garfield, his version of Spider-Man, the best. I don't necessarily think his movies are the best. I think they had the most potential to be the best.
Okay.
They didn't do it how they should have done it. But I think I like his version of Spider-Man the most.
Okay. So rank the movies, all, what is there, 8 of them?
All 8 of them.
Yeah. So let me do mine so you kind of know like where I'm at. So, Spider-Man No Way Home, number 1. Spider-Man Homecoming would be number 2. Spider-Man 2 would be number 3. Spider-Man Far From Home would be number 4. The Amazing Spider-Man 1, and then The Amazing Spider-Man 2. No. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then Spider-Man 1, and Spider-Man 3.
Okay. That's a lot. I'm trying to think. I'm going to start with my least favorite.
Okay, that's fine.
And this is already thinking about this whole podcast. I like the third Spider-Man more than the first Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Okay.
So my least favorite would be the Spider-Man 1. I guess Spider-Man 3, then Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Those are like, we're going in backwards order.
Yeah.
Oh God. See, this is where it gets really tricky because again, I like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, not necessarily his movies the best. They had the most potential. So like, do you vote for potential or do you vote for what you actually got?
What you actually got. Because eventually we might have a continuation of Andrew Garfield, but for now,
okay, so
we're just going off what we got.
Homecoming.
Okay.
It was my least favorite Tom Holland.
Okay.
Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
I guess The Amazing Spider-Man and then
Far From
Home and then No Way Home. So No Way Home would be my favorite.
Okay.
Far From Home and then The Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
I guess. That's kind of subject to change. But I think Far From Home with Mysterio, I actually really liked it.
Yeah.
I liked I think Jake Gyllenhaal did a really great job at being like really compelling and kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then I think Peter, it was also really interesting to watch all of these different dynamics with him and his friends and that kind of thing. Yeah, we're going to stick with that for now.
Okay. All right. That was an hour and 7 minute long. Or probably a little bit more than that now, but that was a lot of talking.
Yeah.
About Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Well, I loved.
So I'm trying to think what started this. Was it our Spider-Man table where that kind of started?
That kind of started it, but I think we were both sick of watching cartoons all the time. And we're both like, okay, what is something that we can get Grayson to like commit and at the same time us enjoy.
Yeah.
So we started with The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah. So our 3-year-old is finally to the age where he can start to watch like more normal movies instead of just like cartoons. And he loves Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So there are some things that are like too scary. But as far as like the adult humor stuff, he's not going to understand that kind of thing. Yeah. So the scary stuff, we kind of have him close his eyes or I cover his eyes for the scary stuff. Cause there's a couple scenes that are like kind of
a little spooky.
That would freak me out if I was a kid. But overall, like he actually enjoyed watching them.
Yeah. Yeah. He really loved them. Cause he would always like, we watching Spider-Man? Like when if we're going in there to like watch. Yeah. And we're like, yeah, we're going to watch that movie. Like, oh, sweet. Like, he's very excited to watch these movies.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so that's going to wrap up this podcast. Like we said this early in the podcast, we're counting the minutes now to Disney World. And we'll probably have a Disney World podcast coming up. Probably like a prepping podcast, I feel like.
We'll
would
see.
Be a good one. And yeah. Go check us out on all our social media. Check out our small business Comic Corp Creations page. Like I think all this stuff is linked in our link tree. So just check us out. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.